Barstool Rugby fans, how we doing? Dylan Saucedo here, and we are back for another week of Man of the Match interviews with the Seattle Seawolves. Great to be back on the live today and chat some rugby. Getting into Week 18 in the last week of the regular season here, Seawolves coming off a big bonus point win against RFCLA, moving into a big matchup against the Legion this week down in sunny California. Seawolves solidify that 2 seed. Will host the same matchup against San Diego on July 20th. This time back up in Tukwila for the Western Conference semifinals. Really excited to see this team get into playoff form and hopefully get another win under their belt moving into the playoffs here. Got about 3 weeks left until that first matchup, and just really excited for it. Today we're going to be talking to 2 new additions that we saw a few weeks ago from the American Raptors. These guys just played a full season in Super Rugby Americas and now finishing up the chase for the Shield with the Seawolves here in the MLR. Going to start with Jackson Zabarick and then finish off with Koby Baker. And I actually think we're going to miss out on Jackson today. Had something come up, and so I think we're going to miss out on him. But definitely going to start with Koby here and going to invite him to start off with. So again, very excited to talk to these guys and kind of get some feedback on this game. Was a big win for them, and just very excited to see what they're able to do this next week, and then moving into the week after that as well. So, going to go ahead and invite them here and get that started. We should be good to go here in a second. So, appreciate you guys holding with me here. Trying to get that invite through, having some trouble. Should be good to go now. If you guys didn't see, last week was able to hop on the watch along with Will Koby, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Koby, how's it going today, my guy?
Good, how are you?
Doing very, very well. So thanks for joining us. My name is Dylan Saucedo. I'm here with Barstool Rugby. I play at the University of Utah up north. So very excited to talk some rugby with you today and kind of chat a little about the season as well as your player profile as well and your journey.
Yeah.
So, to start with, obviously a big win for you boys. Coming off that loss down in Houston, you guys were able to work on some stuff, get the win this week. Kind of what went into the preparation this week? You guys are new to the team. How did that kind of feel moving into this match?
It was definitely just like more like a refocus. Obviously, we wanted to win down in Houston, but there's like a big regroup and refocus and just focus on what's ahead of us. Like obviously, to look forward to the playoffs. Really wanted that win so we could have that home quarterfinal.
Definitely. No, clinched that home quarterfinal, with this win. Was a great match. Felt like a smoother match than it has been in the past couple of weeks, obviously. Seen a bit of weather, kind of play a toll in a few of these games. This one looked a bit smoother. Forwards were able to make a big impact. You guys were able to get that win. Obviously, this is week 3 for you and Jackson, I think. What's the focus been since you guys joined the squad? Obviously, kind of some ups and downs throughout the season for these boys. You guys coming into the squad, what were you able to bring, and what's been the focus since you guys joined?
The main focus for us has just been to really try to make an impact the best we can. Like obviously coming in new, you have to learn as much as you can of the system and the plays and all that. So the main focus, like from the coaching staff, was just make the impact you can, do the simple stuff, and just really get your roles down.
There you go. No, it has to be the focus, right? Coming into a squad like this, playing high-level rugby. You guys just came off a great season with the Raptors. Coming into this kind of season, how do you prepare for something like that? Getting into the squad, a lot of veterans, different maybe level of play, I guess, in the MLR here. How did you kind of prepare for, making this start in this different league?
Just definitely just kind of like grinding it out. Like obviously, it's very different styles of rugby compared to the Raptors versus this. So just kind of prepping yourself as a player. Like it just kind of comes down to your own mental prep and physical prep and everything at the trainings.
Definitely. No, and that sounds great. As a prop, obviously, those physical aspects of the game are going to be big for you guys. The scrum, the line out, every piece of the set piece this year has been bread and butter for the Seawolves. Obviously trying to come in and hold that standard. You guys have done a great job of that. Obviously talking about that maul line out, saw a bit of challenge on in Houston last week. Weren't able to capitalize on some of those, opportunities. What were you guys able to fix within the week to help you kind of edge out this win? Fix those kind of little mistakes in the line out and the scrum?
We kind of just really reviewed them as a forwards unit over the week, and just really noticed that there was a lot of inconsistencies in terms of speed to set, like our jumping quality, our lifting quality, and our throws. So we really dialed it in throughout the week and just really managed to practice that. And in terms of scrum, it was just like a few things we just really need to focus in and dial in on in terms of body shape and angles and all that kind of stuff. So really just really doing our homework in terms of how to review it and just making sure we went back over it and nailed it down over the weekend.
Definitely. That's great to hear kind of how you guys review that and, get back into this, high level piece of the scrum and the line out. You guys have done a great job of that this year and did a great job on Saturday. Talking about kind of this forward group, there's a lot of veterans in here. Guys like Hugh Taylor have played, upwards of 10 years of this professional rugby. What have you been able to take away from some of these guys, maybe add to your game a little bit coming into the season?
Definitely being like a young guy, just anything a vet has to say, you kind of just sit there and listen. There's not, sometimes it's more or less what they say goes. It's not mean in a mean way, but they definitely just kind of the way it goes. But yeah, just listening to every little like critique and detail they talk about, you just want to make sure you dial it in. Like Big Cammy Orr has been a big help to me. Like obviously being a front rower, and Sam Matanga has been helping a lot. So definitely just kind of taking in all that you can from them, and every word they have is kind of like it helps a lot, like a big little piece of gold you found.
Definitely. Oh, that's great stuff. And, one of my favorite parts of the game, I think, is that being able to ask those questions, get those, high level answers, I guess. Sometimes it's stuff you might not hear all the time, right? Like some of these guys have played, different levels of rugby, different, played rugby in different places, might have a different answer from you, right? Coming from, a guy like Hugh Taylor to a guy like Cameron Orr, might have a different answer there, might be able to get a little bit more information there, according to your game. So it's great to hear kind of how you were able to do that. 59, or I'm sorry, 29 to 12, not 59. 29 to 12, final score of this match here. Now we move on to that last match of the season. Going to be the same match that we'll see in a few weeks. This time, down in sunny California, obviously. Traveling down to this Sunday, what are the takeaways from this win moving into this match against the Legion?
Just kind of keeping. Obviously, there's things from the game we like weren't super happy about. There's things that need to be just small little details we need to work on as a whole. But really, just kind of keeping that same mindset in terms of just keep the little details, do what we need to do, and just do it right is the best way to explain it. Like just make sure we go into it prepared. Like we think San Diego's not going to come just to roll over. Like they're definitely going to want to win. Probably pretty upset they don't get to have the home. So definitely going to be something to expect, and definitely make sure we're all in our A game. Like it's not just going to be a cakewalk.
No, it's never right in this league. There's never a game where you walk into it thinking, well, this is a win for us, right? We've talked about that this year a lot. 23 guys that are being put on the field are there for a reason. Guys are getting paid to play this game at a high level, and they're on the field for a reason. So it's going to be great to kind of see how this last week, plays into the playoff matchup. Obviously, kind of a weird one here. Seems like it should be whoever wins this game kind of gets that home field advantage. So kind of a weird situation there. Thought that was how it was going to go. Obviously not how it's going to go. So, get that home field advantage and hopefully, get that win in that first round there. So very excited for that and to see, how you guys get into this playoff form. Talking about your journey, it's been great to kind of hear about the game and kind of want to move forward here. You were able to, play some high level rugby after college, go down under to Australia, go over to, the American Raptors, and now find yourself in the MLR. It's been a long journey for you. How did you find rugby and why did you stick with it?
Funny enough, it's a really funny way I found it. Played a lot of baseball and football growing up as a kid, and then literally saw like a cardboard sign on the side of the road, and I was getting real sick of football, and I was like, all right, I'll just give it a try, and then kind of fell in love with it and just kind of consumed myself in terms of like how serious I took it and everything. And then it was just funny enough, I had a random tournament. I think it was like the RCTs or something, and then there was a recruiter from Cardiff Metropolitan University where I went, and he was like, would you like to go? And I was like, yep. And then obviously did all that. Got unfortunate in terms of COVID, but it all happened. Like first year, season got cut short. Didn't get to play it all my second year. Third year, finally got a full season, which was nice. And then just got super lucky in terms of getting an offer to go down to Australia to play, and then kind of just took that the best way I could. And then it was a bit of a grind, obviously in terms of just like, yeah, always having to always be on top of yourself and make sure you really still want it because nobody's going to do it for you out there. And then just randomly, funny enough, got hit up by the Raptors, and I was like, yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
I'd love to just love you back in America. And then, so yeah, super happy for that.
No, that's great. You're there, right? Some of us Americans kind of come through that journey of, just finding the game randomly, right? I kind of find the game the same way of playing baseball as a young guy, playing football, finding something that, was different in both of those games. Some of my buddies were going out to play rugby, kind of wanted to join them and, spend some time with the guys, I guess. Was able to go out there, play some rugby, found ourselves at Las Vegas Sevens that year and just was like, wow, this culture of this game, the way that, all these countries are coming together to play on the world stage was just amazing to see. That's kind of, how I found the game and how I kind of attached myself to it. So it's great to hear kind of how you did that the same way. Coming from a baseball, football background, American sports to, this world rugby, platform, I guess, of the game. So it's great to hear kind of how your journey has, came to from that kind of stage. You talk about that and, the transition between levels of the game. Obviously, us Americans are still trying to get to that high level, of opportunities. And you were able to find one down under in Australia. Talk about that experience a little bit. Coming straight out of college, what was it like for you to, go to a different country again, and play some, different level of rugby down there?
It was it was definitely different. Like playing in Wales and UK, it's very Northern Hemisphere, like super set piece oriented, and they just love to. It was a very physical game, and then going to Australia, it was kind of just like this is gonna have to be something I'm gonna do if I want to chase the dream. Obviously going alone, and then like the club I went to obviously helped me out a lot in terms of like getting me work, accommodation, all that kind of stuff. But like I still had to work every day, so it's definitely like a part of that grind. You have to really want it yourself, like going to the gym every day and make sure you really get on your extras and all that kind of stuff. It was super fun. Like I loved every single second of it. I got to play in like a little all-star tournament called Country Champs, which you play for to get to represent the state of New South Wales, which was a ton of fun. It was very, very high level. You get a bunch of ex Super Rugby boys and a bunch of Shoe Shield boys playing in that. So it was a lot of fun, very entertaining. But yeah, like it's a very different style of rugby, even to the U.S. It's very expansive, super quick. They love to play very free rugby. So that was just a big learning part. Like obviously you want to learn as much as you can and be able to play any type of rugby that you could possibly be given. So very grateful for everything, the opportunity.
Definitely. No, and that sounds great. Being able to, watch this game and play this game in different perspectives, right? You kind of talk about it, the style of play, right? It's just drastically different. Coming from the U.S., a little bit more physical rugby, I would say, a little bit less, skill oriented. Then going over to the UK, where it's, another physical side of the game, really skill oriented this time, and a lot, to do with the set pieces, line out scrum, kickoffs, all those kind of things. And then going down to Australia, playing, a little bit more free flowing rugby, being able to, have a little bit more fun on the field. It's obviously kind of brings your game into one little core, I guess, and have these different parts of the game. Really gives you a lot of different options, I guess, in the field. In the last year, you've been able to play in two of the best professional leagues. Coming from this background of being able to play in different countries all over the world. How were you able to prepare for your first professional American rugby, or I'm sorry, American Raptors season? What was your mindset kind of going into that?
I was definitely like pretty scared of my mind, to be fully honest. Like it's a big jump coming from like just being like a fully professional environment. It was a big jump, but it was just kind of have to get there and grind it out. Like I didn't expect to play a whole lot when I got there. To be fully honest, I was like, it's gonna be something I have to grind out. It's just gonna be a season of just really sticking your head down and doing the stuff you don't really want to do. But thankfully, I knew a couple of the boys there, so that made things obviously a little bit easier. But yeah, it was definitely just a preparation of getting ready to have to grind it out. Obviously, trying to get as physically prepared as I could right before the season started, and then grinding out preseason.
Oh, and that had to be a great journey, right? I've kind of talked about with some of the guys, being a professional rugby player, being paid to play this game, has to be one of the best jobs in the world, right? Being able to enjoy, every day, being able to train with the guys, play some, great matches, and then, spend time around the game has to be one of the greatest things on earth. So, props to you for being able to do that. What differences have you seen in maybe the level of play, the professionalism, maybe just the flow of the game, from Super Rugby Americas to, the MLR? Obviously, you've only spent a couple weeks here. But what kind of differences have you seen in that, style of play?
Obviously, like they're both as professional as like any environment I could imagine. But Super Rugby Americas is just it's very Southern Hemisphere rugby. Like they love to play quick. They love to play very like um, just super like I don't know, like very expansive rugby. There's a word. Like everything was super fast. Like it was some games really questioning like how much you enjoy just because how quick it was. You're like, oh, it's never ending. But it was honestly set piece wise, it was way higher level than I like assumed going into it. Like the scrum and the lineouts, the mauls, everything was a very, very high level, and it definitely was a big learning curve for me. Um, MLR is definitely, I would say, it's a more physical game. It's just just the comparison of Northern Hemisphere versus Southern Hemisphere. Like down south, they play a much different style versus up here. not going to say either's right. Like, obviously, both have their own pros and cons, but they're both definitely different in their own ways.
Yeah, no, definitely. We have to talk about, talk about all kinds of styles of play in that way, right? A lot of us guys come from, I guess one style of play maybe, and then are able to kind of see, different styles of play, maybe that expansion of rugby a little bit as we go on in our rugby journey. One thing we have to focus on is all these levels of player, really, really beneficial, have a lot of opportunities in each of them, and, give players, the opportunity to play a little bit of a different way, I guess, coming from each of these styles of play. So it's great to hear kind of how you talk about that, as a prop. Obviously, those styles of play, play into the game, but not as much, obviously, for a guy like yourself. You're focused on hitting guys, tackling guys, being a force in the scrum and, being, I guess, an asset in the lineout as well. So great to hear kind of how you think about that coming from the front row. We've talked about your experiences and, being a younger guy in those stages. If you could give Koby Baker, one piece of advice on his first day at Cardiff Met University, what would that be?
Um, hmm. uh, Definitely just like don't get too worked up, too upset over certain things. Like, obviously, it's all a grind. I think anyone who's been on the road to trying to play professional footy, it's definitely a grind. Like, don't get too hard on yourself sometimes. Like, you just gotta keep grinding out and waiting.
Oh, that's a great there, and great to hear. As a younger guy, obviously it's tough to hone in and focus on maybe that one goal, right? Obviously, there's always a lot of stuff going on. You got school, friends. Obviously, the girls are a part of that as well. And rugby's, all kind of comes into that, I guess, as a core of that, kind of focus there. So it's always tough to do that at university. Obviously, kind of in that stage myself right now, dealing with those kind of things. So kind of cool to hear how a professional guy like yourself kind of dealt with that and went through those ranks. Obviously, you're still a young guy, have plenty of time left in your rugby journey. You're a professional American rugby player at this point. You have played at a high level in 3 countries. Moving forward, where do your rugby aspirations go? Is that playing for, the USA, helping grow the game a little bit, maybe? What does your future hold in the game?
Obviously, everyone who plays in the U.S. wants to be an Eagle. I think, like, that's the end goal for me. Like, I really want to play in a World Cup. Obviously, really trying to strive for the one in Australia, so I could be sick to have much of my friends come out and come see. But obviously, like the one in LA, or yeah, in LA, I think in the U.S. really just that's a big one for everyone. Like, making sure the game grows, making sure like the youth coming up really has a platform to excel and really kind of get that exposure that other U.S. professional sports get. Like, obviously, I think that's the dream for everyone playing now, and who is American, they want it to grow, so everyone can be really like be a big part of a bigger picture. But yeah, like, obviously, wherever rugby takes me, I'm more than happy to let it take me, more or less. Like, any opportunity that comes, I'm have to really try to strive to get there and do whatever I can. But coming to Eagle is obviously like the first priority for myself.
Well, it's great to hear, from a fellow American, hearing those kind of rugby aspirations, wanting to be a part of that World Cup. It's a big thing for us Americans, right? In the U.S., it's going to be the biggest rugby event, I think, in Northern America ever. So it's going to be, great for us to kind of get out there and hopefully get a spot there, first of all, qualify for that, and then, go make a stand, try and make, that group of 16 there, and get in that second round of the playoffs. So, great to hear kind of how you think about that in a way. Obviously, we're about bridging the gap here at Barstool Rugby, bridging the gap from, United States to across the world on the rugby pitch. And, trying to do that, it's a tough spot. Tough job to do, but we're all doing a great job at it. The MLR is doing a great job at it, playing this high level rugby, bringing guys from across the world to just up our level of play, the standard a little bit. It's just been great to watch all year long. Kind of wrapping up our interview here. Love hearing about what you guys want to do and kind of how you've been able to play into that role there. Last question for you. We've talked about lessons you've learned from the game, your journey through the ranks. What advice do you have for younger guys and girls who are trying to get these high level opportunities on the pitch?
Um, I'd obviously say, like, do whatever you could to get whatever exposure you can. Like, whether it's playing for some academy or if you get an opportunity overseas, I tell everyone that asks, always take it. Like, the exposure you get from other coaching and the exposure you get from even just playing with other players helps you so much and grows the game within yourself. Um, like, definitely anyone who's trying to come up, like, just keep grinding it out. Like, hopefully USA Rugby will get to where we all want it to be. And they're all a part of that in terms of growing the game, making sure there's more and more players for selections and everything possible. So just whatever you can do to help and grow yourself, I'd obviously say do it. But yeah, more than anything, overseas exposure is a great opportunity for yourself.
Koby Baker, get that overseas opportunities, take it when they come to you, and be ready when they're available. Great to hear from you and your piece of advice there. Last thing here, I saw in the comments they said happy birthday, Koby. Is it your birthday today by
No, it's
chance?
not. It's been an ongoing joke with all my Raptors friends that say happy birthday in the group chat every day. They're texting it right now in a group
Yeah,
chat.
I was interested to see because I saw on the Instagram there was some other guy's birthday this week. Didn't want to mix that up there, so great to hear that from you. Koby, been great to have you on the live here today. Thanks for joining us and talking some rugby. Best of luck to you and the boys this weekend, and we'll be watching you for
Yeah,
sure.
thank you. Been a pleasure to be on. Thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank
Yeah,
you.
cheers.
Cheers. All righty. Alrighty, guys. Great interview there with Koby Baker. Fresh to the Seawolves, coming off of a season with the American Raptors over in Super Rugby Americas. Great to hear from him and kind of his perspective on the game. Obviously a younger guy has some of that high level experience from across overseas, across the pond there. Playing in the UK, playing in Australia gives that guy gives guys like that edge to just make those improvements, help the other guys out, and help grow the game here in the States. So it's great to hear kind of how he's done that and how he's able to, play into this role as a front rower on the Seawolves. A lot of guys there playing in the front row and a lot of powerful guys there as well. So, great to hear kind of how he's came into the squad and done that. This weekend, Seawolves coming into a big matchup against the Legion, going down to Sunny, California. I believe it's going to be Sunday. Might be Saturday. Maybe the Sunday's the playoff match. Whatever. This weekend, big match with Seawolves. Big matchup, not going to play into the playoff seeding here. I thought I was going to. MLR kind of switched that up on us a little bit, and I have to look into that. But this week, big matchup yet again. July 20th, we'll be back home for the Western Conference semifinals, and excited to watch them get into this playoff form, finish off the season here. Thank you guys for joining today. Jackson Zabrick will not be joining us. Had some other stuff come up. So we'll get that interview at a different time. Definitely, want to get that in with the banana slug there. But again, thank you guys for joining today, watching our interviews. If you have not yet, go check out Will Hooley's watch long event that happened last weekend. The Miami Sharks versus Old Glory DC game. I was able to go on there, talk a little bit about rugby, Barstool rugby, my own rugby, commentate a little bit of the game, and talk to Mr. Will Hooley. It was a great opportunity, and hope you guys were able to catch that. If not, go check that out right now. We will see you guys next week for another Man of the Match interview after this match with the San Diego Legion. Seawolves going into that match looking very good and very excited to watch it. Thank you guys for joining again today. Barstool Rugby fans, we're out.